Hi there, and thanks very much for tuning in to the Explaining History YouTube channel. And if you've alighted on this video, it's because you want to know more about the causes of Germany's defeat in the First World War. You're probably writing an assignment on it or need to know a bit more for class. So I'm going to talk you through it very, very quickly. Okay, so the first thing you need to understand is the kind of war that Germany had anticipated. Germany had anticipated a very quick war, certainly in the west, a slightly longer one in the east. In 1914, Germany and Austria considered themselves to be surrounded by Russia in the east and France and Great Britain in the west. They consider this to be, they call it a ring of steel, and consider themselves to be encircled. And so a lightning war in the west was required to break France. That would in turn break Britain's will to fight on, and Britain would hopefully withdraw home. The Germans even were confident that Britain might never actually land troops in Europe. Certainly, if the German army could quickly capture all the Channel ports on their way to Paris, there'd be nowhere for Britain to land. The Germans did not believe that Britain would go to war over a treaty signed in 1832 with Belgium, protecting Belgian sovereignty. Germany wanted to cross very quickly through Belgium into France. The Belgians put up more of a fight than expected. The British crossed the Channel more quickly than expected, and Paris doesn't fall. And this is the crucial part. There is a battle fought on the Marne, referred to as the Miracle of the Marne, where the British and the French and the Belgians managed to stop the German advance. So Germany grinds to a halt in the west, and the expectation that Russia was going to mobilise more slowly in the east, that too proves to be false as well. So Russia mobilises more quickly than expected in the east and invades East Prussia, and for a while, a very short period of time, the Germans are actually fighting on their own soil. They'd inflict serious defeats on Russia, but by the end of 1914, they're fighting a war on two fronts. This is the kind of war that Germany cannot afford. Germany has insufficient resources to fight this kind of war, and insufficient levels of access to finance, insufficient levels of manpower, and she doesn't have access to the kinds of colonies that Britain and France have around the world that can keep them resupplied with men and material almost indefinitely. The next 2 years really are a series of attempts to break out of the deadlock. In 1916, the Battle of Verdun begins, where the German army lay siege to Verdun, this ancient fortress town in France that is sacred to the French national cause, and they know that the French will fight and die in large numbers to defend it, and they attempt to really bleed France dry. The summer 1916 sees the offensive on the Somme, which is a disaster for Great Britain, but also causes Germany irreparable manpower losses. So much so that by early 1918, as America enters the war due to German U-boat attacks on American ships, the time has come in the eyes of Ludendorff for one final offensive, Ludendorff being deputy to Hindenburg, the Field Marshal, head of the German armies. The German army launches one massive offensive in the west, or four massive offensives actually, in the spring of 1918, and all of them run out of steam. They push the Allies all the way back into almost to the coast, the French coast, but the offensives ran out of steam, and the counter-offensive has the power of fresh American troops behind it, though it's really the British and French that do the bulk of the fighting, and it's actually, in the eyes of historian Gary Sheffield, a great British victory by the end of 1918. And an armistice has to be called for two reasons. Firstly, because following the Battle of Amiens in August 1918, the German army for the first time are truly routed, and it's considered to be referred to as a black day for the German army. The blackest day in the history of the German army, I think, is what Ludendorff called it. Secondly, the British Royal Navy, having fought the Battle of Jutland in 1916, which was an inconclusive battle, since then have been able to strangle Germany into starvation, blockading Germany's ports, and the German population are actually in starvation at the end of the war. Thirdly, the war ends with an armistice that is signed just as a revolution is breaking out in Germany from the dissatisfied sailors and soldiers, angry sailors and soldiers, and the hungry public that want to see not only an end to the war, but an end to the Kaiser. Okay, super. So I've got through that one as quickly as possible. If you find this interesting and you want more very quick, very concise, and very accurate answers to history questions, subscribe to this channel and you'll receive daily updates on the stuff that really matters to you as a history student. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.